All righty, here we go. Thursday, April 7th. It is MLB opening day, and we've had a ton of success with the covers release shows through college basketball, through NBA, and with the start of the MLB season. We went hunting, and we said, who is the best person that we can find for this show? And usually that's the person with the best player projections. And so we have none other than Derek Carty with us here on the show to kick off opening day. Derek Carty, you need very little introduction, but for everybody watching who's now discovering you from the Covers brand, let's give them the quick rundown of all the success that you've had when it comes to playing DFS and MLB, and now with your projections and entering the prop betting markets.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on. This is great. If you haven't heard of the BetX before, it's been featured at FanGraphs, at ESPN, all over the place. It consistently, wins accuracy contests. The last couple of years, it's been the most accurate standalone projection system in fantasy baseball. It's been really successful for sports betting also. So yeah, I'm really excited to be doing the show.
Tell us about the front office ties that some of this has, because I know that that's always mentioned with the projections just because of how successful they have been, especially when we're talking about the betting side against the closing line. But now there's kind of methodology that ties into how teams are evaluating players, or what's the connection there?
Yes, I mean, before like daily fantasy was a thing, certainly before sports betting was legal anywhere except Vegas. I was just a hardcore like baseball guy in the sabermetric world, working with a lot of really smart people, learning from a lot of really smart people. A lot of them now are making decisions for major league teams. So a lot of what I learned is the type of stuff that major league teams are doing to evaluate players, and that's what's going into the model. So I think that's one of the things that that really sets it apart.
And what else will set this apart is just to show format and how we approach things. The goal here is to get everybody watching in a position where we can all be betting together, because as this show continues and your projections are continuing to being used, we're going to see that these lines, with it being a volatile prop market, they're going to move, and they're going to move very quickly. And so we want to have a show where everybody can get the odds at the price that we are giving them out and bet at the same time. And so in order to do this, for those of you who are watching the release show here on Covers for the first time, we have to follow a specific procedure. And so the way this is going to work is we'll go step by step all the way through. And as we do more episodes, we'll evaluate if any of these need to be tightened up. But the process here for those watching is really, really simple. We'll start off by opening your sportsbook app. If you're on a desktop, you'll have the site available. And I'll tell you what game we are betting on. And this is your cue to go through your list of games for baseball today. Find that game and open it up, because we're going to expand the game and start searching for the prop market. That's going to be step number 2. Once everybody's able to find the game, I'll say, here's the prop market we're betting on, and that's your chance to open up the prop betting market. When we have everybody at the stage where they have that market open, I'll tell you, is it a player from the home team or the visiting team? Because every sports book is going to have their sorts a little bit different. And so when I tell you what team the player is on for which we are betting, you're going to be able to sort of look with the sports book that you are at and find that player within your sort. And then we'll get to step 4, where I'll tell you who the player is. And finally, we'll finish with the bet. Is it an over or is it an under? And so usually we have about 10 to 15 seconds between each of these steps. And it allows everybody to get together to the final step, number 5, where we're all placing the bet. And I have the expectation that today's we're not going to see as crazy movement. It's opening day. It's the Masters. Sports books have a lot of things going on. So I think this is going to be a fairly easy release for everybody to get. But we will monitor these steps as we go throughout the way. So, Derek, with that said, I think everybody's ready. You ready to go with the first release of the MLB season?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So we will start off by letting everybody get their sportsbook app open and ready. And we will start with the game, which is Cleveland at Kansas City. So the prop that we are looking for is going to be within the Cleveland-Kansas City game. So as you're looking through your list, find Cleveland, Kansas City. We'll give everybody another couple of seconds here to find Cleveland, Kansas City, and get that open. The market, which we will be looking at for today within this game, is pitcher strikeouts. It will be a pitcher strikeout prop. So you can scroll through the long list of props at your sportsbook, find the pitcher props, and specifically look for a strikeout prop for a pitcher. And here we have the pitcher player prop tool on covers that you can see with multiple sportsbooks. So depending where you're playing, you can find different prices. But we are looking for a pitcher strikeout prop. The team that we will be targeting today for a pitcher strikeout prop is the Kansas City Royals. So we'll be looking at Zach Greinke, and we'll give everybody another 5 to 10 seconds to find Greinke within their strikeout prop menu, and then we will get to the bet in just a second. So now with everybody here, the bet which we are making is Zach Greinke over 3.5 strikeouts, and that is playable at a number of different prices. You can find the best number at plus 105. That's currently available at PointsBet, and it goes all the way up to 3.5 minus 118, which is available at FanDuel. But we're playing over 3.5, and we will go with the release price at minus 110 over 3.5 Zach Greinke for strikeouts. Curious for those of you in the chat, where were you playing? What odds were you getting? What prices did you see? And if you are seeing any movement within this, we're going to be consistently judging where things are going, what we're looking at. There's more than 300 people on the stream. In the live chat, let us know where you were betting and what you were seeing. It looks like people were able to get very good prices, 3.5 plus 105 at Caesars, Richie Warfield plus 100 at MGM. Andrew was Caesars as well. We actually had some love from DK, which is very rare in the prop market, minus 105. Dave Wilson, MGM, plus 100. Ryan Schultz was at Betway, minus 112, so on the higher end. And as we're seeing this, as you're looking at all of these comments coming in, importance here to have multiple sports books. And we're going to be able to judge books better as we go throughout the season. This is new for everyone. We'll have a lot of tips on where to ultimately play. But Derek, when it comes to this Greinke prop, over 3.5 strikeouts, what was your projection? What were you looking at? And what can you tell us about Greinke and the over on the K prop here?
Yeah, so the BetX's projection is about 4.3. So especially if you're getting plus odds, you're getting some pretty decent value on this. Greinke's a guy who a lot of times I feel like is overrated, but that's definitely not the case at this point. Like maybe he's just kind of getting older and boring and not overrated anymore. He's not an especially good strikeout pitcher, but the line is really low, 3.5, and the matchup is really good. Facing the Cleveland Indians offense, this is the worst offense on the slate. And so he should be able to be efficient and go deeper into the game because the opposing offense is not particularly good. And even better, it's also the most strikeout heavy offense on the slate. So along the way, he should, on a rate basis, be able to rack up the strikeouts because this is an offense that is, prone to striking out. It's also the best pitching weather on the slate, the highest air density, not quite the lowest temperature, but when you factor in humidity and everything else, best weather in that regard, which does impact strikeouts. It's one of kind of the hidden factors a lot of people don't consider, but it does have a real meaningful impact on projections and on what pitchers do. So between the, basically the efficiency facing the bad offense, the strikeout heavy nature of the offense and the weather, this looks like, a pretty good over bet for me. And he doesn't have to do a whole lot to get there. So Greinke over 3.5.
Derek, let me ask you, you mentioned the projection you have is just shy of 4.5 strikeouts for Greinke. So a big difference from the odds, which we've now seen that 3.5 up to around minus 150. So a lot of those lower prices everyone was able to get are now gone. We saw some market movement on this prop. The difference, 4.5 versus where we were about 3 minutes ago, which was like a 3.4, we'll call it, with some of the VIG in there. That difference with this being kind of a lower number for pitcher props, what does that kind of equate to in terms of edge versus the projection versus betting value? Is it on the higher end, lower end? Like, how valuable is this bet to people watching?
Yeah, I think what did you say? It was close to negative 160 or something. If we're
That's
looking,
where it is now. Yep.
Yeah, at this point, I would think there's probably not a lot of value left to extract in the line. I would have to calculate it out, but I think we're probably pretty close to reaching the equilibrium with that.
And where we were earlier when we were looking at kind of like the 3.45 compared to your projection of around 4.45, that big of a difference, is that usually on the higher end of expected value coming from the Bad X projections?
No, we're definitely going to see bigger values on other days. This was kind of just like a good one. It wasn't a great one, but it's a small slate today. We had a couple games rained out already. A couple of the lines, like Darvish's line this morning, looked good, but it moved before we went live. So Greinke was one of the better ones I saw, but I do think we're going to see better ones throughout the year.
Fantastic. So we'll look to start off the season with a winning bet: Zach Greinke strikeouts over 3.5. For those who are looking for MLB props throughout the season, we will have Derek with us here doing the release show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So there's a subscribe button down below. Hit the subscribe button. These shows will be a little bit quicker going forward. We got a lot of the pleasantries and the introductions out of the way. Now everyone knows what the show is. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll be back 10 minutes or less with the projections from the Bad X, getting you the best prop that you can for those days 3 times a week. And of course, if you're not following Derek, you can do so over at Twitter. We've got all the links down below, but we would love to have everybody watching on board throughout the season. Surprising numbers to start this show, with more than 300 people getting that prop at the same time. Again, the bet was Zach Greinke over 3.5 strikeouts. Let's look to start the season on a winning note. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time.